You are now tuned in to the Project 365 experience.
It is it is my pleasure that I get to welcome, you know, it's been a short time, but it feels like a long time. A good friend of mine, Coach Al, Mr. Al Harrington, Mr. Alan Harrington. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good. Um, this is amazing for me. Like, quick story. So I remember, so I played at Vanier, right? Which is like some different places might see it as a JUCO, a prep kind of thing, like right after high school. Um, I was playing back then, and it was so funny because during my off seasons, what I used to do is my family lives in Haiti, right? So I used to go to Haiti,
Hmm.
and I go to Haiti, and I'm just looking for ways to get better. I didn't really have like a trainer per se, right? So I don't know. One day I just typed in like basketball training, and guess on who I fell on back then. Your channel. It's a small world, man. It's so funny how things end up going. But I think to you, what made you decide that you were going to start posting? I know we talked a little bit about it, but I want to dive a little bit deeper.
Yeah. Well, originally the channel was all for just posting highlights of players that I train. And then
Hmm.
it sort of evolved from there. I had some knee surgery, so I couldn't do as much training on the court with players.
Hmm.
So I started posting plays and drills and things like that. And that's when it sort of started taking off and seemed like a viable business to run.
Hmm. You you've been in it for like because I mean, if for those who don't follow your page yet, I mean, you're at, you could give the whole numbers, but the main page has over 125,000 subscribers on it,
Yeah.
right? And like talk a little bit about the other pages. They're doing pretty well as well.
Yeah, so the four other channels that I have that are monetized, some have
Hmm.
gone through an evolution and some haven't.
Hmm.
So the one that I started right after, or not right after, but many years after my main channel was called Football Coach Allen. And I know very little about football. I know like the basics of it, but I seen that nobody was posting on YouTube what I posted about basketball, but for football. And I'm
Hmm.
like, that I was like, well, if nobody's posting about that for football and people are watching it for basketball, I'll do some research on football and I'll do that channel. And then I went from that to a gaming channel.
Hmm.
That was mostly about 2K and whatever. And I just didn't have time. It takes too long to make gaming content. So that evolved into, I think it was just like NBA news type of stuff that I'm posting there. And then
Hmm.
I've got a prospects channel where I built that mostly for my guys. So my goal there, even though I don't post enough on there, is to put high school athletes from the states on there that have like a big name to build the channel, and then throw in and sprinkle in some of the players that I train, I coach, just to get their names known.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then my fifth channel is a dividend investing channel.
Hmm. So you're touching up everything. You're all over the place.
Yeah.
Talk to me because you were kind of, I would say, like one of the first um bigger channels. If you look at just the history of it, to like that is, I'm gonna call it the niche basketball channels, right?
Yeah.
I want to know like how important or how valuable do you see social media, especially in this generation now?
Well, as a coach, you can utilize it to build an income for yourself, because as we know at the youth level, there really isn't many ways that you can make money.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some clubs that will pay you to coach, and then if you're not a parent coach, that is, and
Mm-hmm.
then you can kind of subsidize that with training some of the players. But when you're in Canada, you can only train maybe 5 or 6 months out of the year, and then after that, you have to try to find gyms to rent. So that starts becoming expensive for the clients, because if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at $100 an hour to rent a gym, or $80 an hour to rent a gym, and then on top of your own training fee, which is anywhere between, for the trainers around here, 40 to 80 bucks an hour. Now that's pricing yourself so high that only the elite of the elite can really afford that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like for YouTube, it's kind of like a nice monthly income where that can be your hub, and then everything else kind of builds around it. At least that's what I've done. That's what I've seen.
Mm-hmm. In terms of response from players, like I think the part that people don't really um I guess really grasp is that in terms of business, that and shout out to the listeners, man. You guys are getting like all over content. You guys are getting a business content today. Like in terms of a like as yourself, you can't be in 5 places at once, right?
I try.
What
I can't.
what I found is it's very easy for people um to in a way stay connected, right? And
Yeah.
like you said, people who maybe don't have, let's say, the finances to be able to get this opportunity to maybe train with you or just any kind of trainer. Well, now you're looking at an era where you can find stuff on the internet.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? So I some of the stuff that I see online now, I wish I had when I was a kid. Because like when we were kids, I don't know about yourself, but I'm 33.
Mm-hmm.
I was in high school, YouTube was just starting, and it was all cat videos.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And yeah. And where if you wanted to get any kind of video on how to learn how to dribble, or dribbling drills, shooting drills, whatever, go buy this DVD or this
Yeah.
VHS
Yeah.
for 40 bucks, 50 bucks,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can get it and say, this is just basic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do this all the time anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So now with YouTube or TikTok or whatever, these kids can be just scrolling through. Like my nephew scrolls through, and he can, like, there's some channels out there that he watches where they'll have the NBA player do the move, and then they'll explain the move.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like that's some of the stuff that he's doing is all from that.
Mm-hmm. Talk about how different things like like you said, I like the comparison, right? You were saying like when you first started playing and like at now, right? So talk to me about how much of an impact you're seeing and how quickly kids are able to pick up on skills because they have access to these kinds of resources.
It really depends on the kid. So
Mm.
it comes down to, I'm not too sure if it's mindset or just their willingness to want to improve.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's players who can be on the same team, have the same trainer, and train together, but their training outcome is drastically different.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have one, like I've got two players who I train together a lot of the times. One's a grade 8, and the other one is a prep player who's in grade 11.
Mm-hmm.
And those two seem to really excel. And then there's a third player who's a grade 9 who trains with those other two, and he's not excelling as much as those other two.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start digging down to it, you've got the one who's not excelling as fast as the other two.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going out to the parks or spare time and shooting around himself,
Right.
while those other two are trying to find out any way possible that they can find a court to play on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's like almost like an illusion that I find because like you almost think like, and I see it all the time, you know, like I started off coaching younger players and like I remember that at a certain point, like the parents really like you see it all the time. The parents want it for the kid. They want it,
Yeah,
you know? Um, and they think that, you know, if I just send him to a trainer, he's naturally he has to get better, right? Because I'm paying for
yeah,
this. Like it's almost like I'm investing in this, so this is the return I'm expecting to get. I invest the money. The return is this kid becomes really good at basketball. But it goes back to what you're saying is that if there's like little things that parents could start looking at where it's like if you're at home and on the spare time and you don't feel like your kid is like entrenched in basketball because he has access to that content every single day, does he really love it?
yeah.
You know, that's kind of sort of the challenge that I'm seeing.
Well, now that because the one grade eight I'm close to, and I'm like, man, this kid's like finding a court somewhere all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start asking other players who are on his team, like when was like over Christmas? When was the like I was posting up just like small clips of like their mistakes over the Christmas break, and I was like, this is what you did, this is what you can improve on, do this tomorrow or whatever, find the gym and do it. And after 4 or 5 days of posting that stuff on the group, I'm like, have you guys tried this? Have you tried like doing that move and changing just how you got that ball? Oh, we haven't even got to the court yet.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, that one grade eight, he's been at the court 2 hours a day or
Mm-hmm.
more,
Mm-hmm.
and he's already fixing the things that I seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's almost like it's such a like we're in an era where everything is so accessible, you
Yeah.
know? Like you don't have like I remember back, when I don't know how to say, but like it was hard to find an inside gym, indoor gym. You had
Oh,
to go to the
it
park
still
if you
sort of
really.
is.
Mm-hmm. You had
Yeah.
to really love it. Like during the summers and all that stuff, especially in Canada, it gets cold, right?
Yeah.
At 8 p.m., everything shuts down because there's floor hockey. You know what I'm saying? But
Yep.
now you're in the era where like everything is so, I want to say accessible, right?
Yeah.
Or not more accessible. That like if your child is not benefiting from this access or taking advantage of it, like I think these are some things that parents now could start paying attention to and be like, okay, well, maybe, you know, maybe I wanted more for him than he actually wants it for himself.
Yeah.
You know, it's so tricky. It's so tricky. So, um, YouTube,
Yeah.
right? YouTube as a learning tool for not just kids, but just our generation as a whole. What are some of the impacts and some of the benefits that you've seen?
As in like how kids can learn from it.
How kids can learn from it, and it could be as adults, just perfecting our craft. What are some things that you see?
It's all over the place. So for players, they everyone kind of learns differently. So one of the types of comments that I always get is such and such coach sent me to this video because we're running this play.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got a ton of plays on my channel. So I guess a coach somewhere is running a certain play in a certain video at a certain timestamp, sending it to their players and say, hey, we're learning this play. Go check it out before practice or maybe after practice. And now they get the on-court practice of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're physically doing the play. And then because not everybody learns the same way, now the certain players who learn better by visualizing it and looking at it on a clipboard um, will now be able to understand the play much faster.
Mm-hmm.
So even for myself, I'll draw out the plays for my teams that I coach, and I'll say, "Here's like 8 videos of all the plays."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They have to watch it through, and then we'll learn those plays in practice.
Mm-hmm.
While those
What's
plays are not public, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What is the balance between visualizing it, like somebody sending, um and obviously it's like we're talking about learning, and just like a big part of learning is actually applying, and
Yeah.
in a lot of cases like failing, right? Like shooting a basketball, like you could see, okay, shooting a basketball, I could watch a video, but I got to go out there and just like rep it out. I got to
Yeah.
miss some shots before I make some.
Yeah. And even then too. So I see comments once in a while on my shooting videos where they say, I'm doing all the things that you're telling me to do, but it's not working. They have to record themselves to be able to see, am I actually matching this up too? Because they have
Mm-hmm.
to be able to see themselves in a lot of the skills.
Mm-hmm.
Like that goes down to like film breakdowns with your teams. Like not enough teams are doing film breakdowns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like it's like you said, it's like it's just being able to see it is like very different. And that's the one
Yeah.
thing that I see is just like, our minds go so fast. The game of basketball is so fast, right? That like
Yeah.
you put yourself in a situation where like, and I'm sure we've had situations like that. We've been players too, right? Where it's like coach will tell you, yo, you should have done this. Now you could be like, yo, yeah, I was there. I was in that position, you know?
Yeah.
But
And there's, you can be in certain positions too where you have three different options and all three options are the correct answer. So like when
Mm,
we were doing film breakdowns with the U14 team, um, myself, another coach, we all had different opinions as to what the player should have done. And
mhm,
the player had his own opinion. And we took a step back and we're like, they're all correct.
mhm, mhm,
All four of those options are correct. It just
mhm.
comes down to you missed your shot.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, for sure. For sure. So, um, which, so let me ask you this, like, because you've posted a lot of content. How many videos are you up to now? You were like over like
Oh,
you
I'm
had
over
posted over
5,000.
5,000 easily, right? Over
Yeah.
5,000 videos. What are the subjects that you find um people go and research up more?
Um, Shooting form, that's for player type videos.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting form is by far number one. Um, Number two for players, it's a mix, like mostly moves. Um, for coaches, you're looking, it's a mix between drills and plays.
Plays. Yeah.
It's like 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes down to the types of plays, you're really 5 out is kind of like the most popular, at least right now.
Yeah.
Like I can post a 5 out video and it's like instant views.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like because everybody wants to be positionless, right?
Yeah.
So how important? So helping a kid that may watch one of your videos, right? And
Yeah.
helping them understand that, how do they relate what they see to your video to their current situation? What are some questions that they got to ask themselves, right? Like if I look at a shooting video, right? And like
Yeah.
say everything is at the top of the key, right?
Yeah.
But maybe I'm more of like somebody who's in the corners more, right?
Yeah.
Like what are some questions that kids have to ask themselves when they're watching like videos on YouTube, and to be able to make them relate and be translatable to their current situations basketball wise?
uh for shooting, they should look at the shooters that they're watching. So like I do Steph Curry breakdowns, Clay Thompson, all those players, every single one of them shoots differently.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're shooting with a thumb flick, you should be watching, like, if the thumb flick is affecting your shot, you should be watching potentially more of the earlier Kyrie Irving or Steph Curry shooting form videos.
Mm-hmm.
While if it's affecting your shot, maybe you should get rid of that thumb flick and look at more like the Clay Thompson style videos.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
uh, any like I what I tell the players every single time is record your video, like record yourself shooting. That is the most important. If you got a problem shooting, no matter where it is on the court, you have to record yourself shooting. Are
Mm-hmm.
you releasing high enough? Are you getting your elbow in? Like I
Mm-hmm.
know there's the whole misconception they have to be square to the basket, elbow in, and all that. It's impossible to get your elbow. Not impossible. Clay Thompson does it, but you should have a little bit of a tilt so that this is all in line.
Mm-hmm.
As long as this is in line, you're gonna generally have a straight shot.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you see some of
Mm-hmm.
these lefties who have like a really like way off tilt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everybody's kind of like in a way like it has to be almost like adaptable to themselves, right? And in terms of
Yeah,
like positioning, right? In terms of not positioning, but more like a position on the team, right?
yeah.
Um have you ever came across situations where maybe someone was saying, "Hey, I saw this video or I saw this highlight," and as a coach for you, you kind of have to educate the player about like, okay, well, yeah, this is a cool highlight, but there's maybe a couple of things that you got to look at, right? So like
Yeah.
I used to get into this debate all the time. Obviously Kyrie is seen as one of the best ball handlers, but a lot of the stuff that Kyrie does is very reactionary, right?
Yeah.
He ends up off balance on the floor on one knee because he reacted to this play, was able to get his balance, but he still has the dexterity to be able to react to it, right? It looks cool, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, as players, a lot of times, like they're like, okay, shoot, let me just reciprocate that, but not
Well, they
understanding that the reaction is a reaction to something that they saw.
yeah, and it's
Mhm.
also they need to build the core strength. They need to
There's so
build the
many
overall
factors.
strength. Yeah, there's some players who will go out in the court and like try to do crazy stuff, like almost like and one stuff when we were kids.
Hmm.
You look at them and you're like, first off, like that's not part of the game.
Hmm.
You're not going to take
Hmm.
13 dribbles in the same spot, go nowhere, and then expect to get a basket. You've just allowed the defense to set up.
Hmm. There's all those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Tell me, do you find that because players see a lot of videos and then try to reciprocate them or have like personal trainers and they do a lot of one-on-one training, do you think that there is a lack of kind of like understanding what to do when there's actual body in front of you?
It seems like it depends on the level. So
Mm-hmm.
my I coached U14 last year.
Mm-hmm.
This year, a lot of that team moved up to the new team that I coach with S Elite, where it's a lot higher of a competition, a lot higher level. And I had players on that team last year who didn't make that jump, who would go 1-on-5 and were successful going 1-on-5. But when you are head and shoulders skill wise better than everybody else on the court,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be able to go 1-on-5 and succeed.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you get to more of an elite level, you can't go 1-on-5.
Yeah.
You need to be able to run a play. You need to be able to move that ball around. You need to be able to do things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it also comes down to experience too. So to
Right.
your point, um, is it harder for certain players? It is. The players who never really played against elite level competition, if they're just thrown into it, they're gonna still try to do that 1-on-5 stuff,
Mm-hmm.
1-on-1 stuff, and get beat up.
Mm-hmm.
But the guys who have
Mm-hmm.
been playing at that elite level where they are forced to pass, where they have to be able to run the plays and move
Yeah.
off ball, cut off ball, and things like that, if they've been playing it for a couple of years or at least training in that style, then they're generally pretty fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
who's
Mm-hmm.
who's playing at that elite level? You've got
Mm-hmm.
maybe 8 teams, 12 teams at each age group.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at maybe 80 to 100 kids out of what, 1,500 at the rep
Yeah.
level
Yeah.
or more, way more. What am I saying?
Yeah.
15,000 or more.
18,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
So if you're looking at that percentage, really only maybe 1 or 2% of the overall kids know how to play real team ball.
Mm-hmm. That's always been the struggle too that I've seen because it's like um especially young players when they hop right away and they think they're ready right away for like I hear it all the time like ninth graders who want exposure like
Oh yeah,
nobody's like, you know what I'm saying like but it's not about but to them they think like by just going and playing maybe at a prep school or playing at a high recognized high school they think that it's automatically going to give them, make them advance in basketball. But it's tough because a lot of those players have been playing for so long. They've been like their elite level, like at grade 9. Like it's be getting younger and younger and younger. And you're seeing it with your grade 8s as well, right?
Yeah. Well, that grade 8 I was talking about, I don't know if I should say his name on the podcast, but you met him the other day.
Yep.
But he plays on the U15 team, which is a year older. They were playing U16 today, and he scored 14 points. And when you start looking at that, you have to look at him and say, okay, you scored 14 points. Did you get rebounds? Did you get assists? Which he did. And then you have to look at the film again and just say, like, we're like, have him look at it and say, where did you go wrong? Where do you feel like you went wrong? And not enough kids are doing that either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's how you start learning team ball.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of what you're doing, is because like you're applying basically everything that you said that you wish you had. It's like now you're doing that. Now you're doing that for the younger players and just like helping them and recording their stuff and all that kind of stuff. So I want to get a bit practical for the end of this podcast, right? And it's just like you and I, our passion happens to be basketball, right? But I kind of want to take a little bit more of a general approach. I wanted to switch it up a little bit and just be a bit more fun. I would consider you to be a YouTube expert, right? I consider you to be a YouTube expert. So say our interests and our passion happens to be basketball. For somebody that it may not be basketball, the process may be the same when it comes to YouTube, correct? In terms of building a channel.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff across everything. There's reasons why Mr. Beast blew up. There's reasons why certain channels blow up.
So I want to know from you, if I am someone and I want to start a YouTube channel, where do I start?
Find a niche and keep that niche. You can always change niches, like that one channel that went from gaming to NBA content. That was a niche change, but that was not way far off. So like the gaming channel was doing 2K and video game racing. So it was a sports niche, but in video games that transferred over to NBA content. For that, I didn't lose any subscribers. I didn't see any massive drop off. If you went from like Barbie content to NBA stuff, there's gonna be a massive drop off. You want to avoid that. So if you feel like changing the content strategy, probably don't do it on a channel where you've already put in so much time and effort, because now you're gonna have that massive drop off, and that's going to affect your algorithm. Because now when you're trying to get a video that's seen, like my videos don't get a ton of views right away. Like I get 300 to 500 views, maybe 1,500 views in the first few days on a new video. But those videos are like 6 months from now, they'll start getting like 400 views a day. So it builds up time. But what you have to do is, number one is view duration. How long is that person watching your videos? Because with YouTube, they're a business. They want people on their channel or on their website as long as possible. So your retention is massive.
Yeah.
Are they on your video and going to another video and then to another video? That counts. If they just watched 18 videos, they watched 2 minutes of yours and left the site, you're in trouble. Because now that's a ding on your video.
Right.
You'll never know this. Like if you're getting like, if I get like 800, 900,000 views a month, I'm never going to be able to see individual videos and say, I wonder which one's working, which one's not. I got 5,000 videos. I don't have the time to go through 5,000 videos to see which one's working and which one isn't. Smaller, you can, when you're just starting off, you can go through and be like, okay, I've posted 10 videos. Let's see which ones did the best.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to you, you were showing, and you had that spike.
Yeah.
Views, and I was like, "What were you doing there?"
Yeah.
Vlogs.
Yeah.
Do vlogs find a way of doing those again, so you
Yeah.
get that spike again.
Mm-hmm. What and you had mentioned something to me. You had said the key was having a catchy title
Yep,
and great thumbnail.
yep.
Elaborate on that.
So ChatGPT is a fantastic resource. Um, you can go in there and say, I want give me 7-word titles, or give me 5 7-word titles for basketball dribbling drills, and it'll
Mm,
give you a catchy title or a couple of different options for catchy titles, and then you can say, okay, find the 3 main words on that title and figure what should be on that thumbnail.
mm,
uh I think you have to word it a little bit differently than that, but it'll give you an
mm-hmm,
idea of what to do on that thumbnail.
mm-hmm,
I don't do the thumbnail idea. I've done it a few times through Chat GPT. I do a lot of my titles through Chat GPT,
mm-hmm,
but right now I've got so many like screenshots that I can use of players that I already coach or train, where I can just take that image, put it into Photoshop, put the words on it, darken off one side, just to get players known, even though that video may not be about that player. So let's say I do a horns top 5 horns basketball plays, and okay, well, I need a player because a face gets clicks, so I need a face. And how am I going to get my guys a little bit more well known, a little bit more exposure, I guess you could say?
mm.
Well, get that kid's face on there, get the title, even though that video is not about that kid, just to give that player a little bit more exposure.
Visibility. So it's
Yeah,
like you had a whole little marketing. There's a whole marketing strategy behind it. I love it.
I
Talk
try
about
to
the
market my
important.
players.
That's what's up. That's what's up. As you should. Talk about the importance of a consistency and just being
um,
consistent with the things that you do.
when it comes to YouTube, I wish I could be more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Just sometimes coaching just gets in the way and life gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been getting more consistent after I finished moving into this place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when it comes to training, you can't just be like, okay, well, if I'm a player looking to get better, I can't be like, okay, I've got 2 practices a week with the team. I might have games
Mm-hmm.
in the weekend. I've got,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday with no basketball. Well, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, if you've got those days off, you need to find a gym.
Yeah.
Like it comes down to 2 types of players: the ones who will go pro and the ones that won't. And the ones that go pro, everyone looks at them and says, they had the talent, they got the body, they got the long wingspan, they got this, they got that.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
got the father, they got the uncle, they got this person, they got
Mm-hmm.
that person.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
And when in reality, it is, what did you do on your days off?
There's some work you got to put in.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's not just what like LeBron James said, which is some when you're not working, somebody else is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just that, because that sentence, in my opinion, makes people overwork, overtrain. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what you should be looking at it is a business. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're a player and you want to get paid,
Mm-hmm.
well, how are you going to get paid? You're going to go pro. Um, you do something playing the game. So
Right.
you need to look at it as a business.
Right.
School is like, if you don't have the grades, you're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might get lucky and go to OTE, but okay, well, now you still need to get grades. You might get lucky and get G League Ignite, but again, you're not playing at a level for them to notice you if you're not getting the grades. So it
Right.
all comes back to grades. So work or school is your full-time job. It
Right.
should be. My grades
Mm-hmm.
were terrible when I was in school, but that should be your full-time job.
Yeah.
Next, because school is what, 6 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
right? With homework, maybe 6.5, 7 hours. So that's a full-time job. Now, the reason why I think lower income kids do better in basketball and go farther is because they see their parents working multiple jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Now they look at basketball as a full-time job as well, and they'll work on that for 6 or 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
There's your 12 hours. You sleep and relax for the rest,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that doesn't mean playing basketball for 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You'll burn out, you'll get injured, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You can do basketball for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and go hard, work out for half an hour, build your strength. So now you're looking at 2.5 hours. Now you can look at it in like my nephew, he'll look at highlights for literally the entire night.
Mm-hmm.
That in itself, just looking at highlights, seeing how players play, how they pass the ball, sometimes looking at his own videos where did I go wrong? Where did this player go wrong? That's learning the game. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be on the court in the weight room to be improving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
That's a
if they look at it as a full-time job,
yeah.
then there's a chance.
It's amazing, man. Coach Allen, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no worries.
Please, if you are not following Coach Allen, you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. A lot of good stuff. Um, as for me, it's amazing for me to just be able to continue to build on this friendship that we've started. Because I could actually say that you've been a part of my basketball journey. So I appreciate everything you do. Appreciate everything you do for the basketball community. Appreciate all the time that we've had communication. And yeah, if there's any upcoming project you want to put on people's radar.
Oh yeah, we're doing videos together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
hey,
got
so
some funny things.
so people be on the lookout for those. Coach Coach Allen,
I'm
thank you
I'm
so
I'm
much.
really looking forward to those videos.
Oh, I'm telling you, those are gonna be the ones. I'm telling you. Coach Allen, thank you so much for your time. We'll definitely
Yeah,
keep talking, my friend.
sounds good.
Yeah.